治るかと思います。
Keep up the great work. Sad I can't be there this year, but excited to get to kick back with a week full of exciting runs.
表示の方大丈夫ですかね。一応確認して、ディスガイア5の方にしてみたつもりなんですけれども、もしまたミスがありましたら教えていただければ助かります。
Alright, and without further ado, here's Disgaea 5, Alliance of Vengeance.
はディスガイア5
Hello everybody, this is
タイトル
Disgaea 5
がです
Alliance
ね。
of Vengeance. I am GreenZSaber, and behind me is...
I'm Ghost King. Next to me is Kirby Master and
Game Swag with 2 S's.
Oh,
No, he's not on.
このペンギンみたいなのっていうのはディスガイアと関わりが深いんですか？
alright. So this is Disgaea 5, Alliance of Vengeance. This is the first Switch RPG released for the West. And before I begin, I need to load a save to get my settings calibrated. And then I'll show off these settings real quick, because to play this game really quickly, we need to make sure our settings are properly set so that the game will run at the fastest speed as possible. And I'm going to be playing as fast as the game will allow me to. This is a very fast, very intense run. There's going to be a lot going on, so hopefully we can get everything up to speed.
なるほど。
Just
そ
real
のプ
quick
リン
here.
投げると爆発する。
And
いや、ディスガイアに続いてって感じですね。その次の作品でも投げますからね。なるほど。
Certainly. So we have a special announcement.
つまり
GreenZSaber
マス
has
コットという
revealed
名
a
の
bonus
手榴弾
incentive.
と言っていい
If
のか。
$5,000 are donated for this incentive by the end of this run, he will show off Nisa, a DLC character. So if the Neptunia fan base wants to see some representation here, let's see some donations.
All right, excellent. So that's what we have planned. And are we all ready?
Yes.
I'm all ready.
All right. I also have a challenge for anyone watching at home.
スイッチ
I
表示。
want you all to count how many times dude
多
shows up
分
during
リ
this
ロードしてい
run.
ただくとツイ
See
ッ
if
チ
you
表
can
示
keep
の方
track.
も
All
治る
right?
かとは
Okay, without
思
further
うん
ado,
で
let's
す
go.
が、
We do not have much time.
どうでしょ
Good
うか。
luck. So welcome everybody to Disgaea 5. This is a strategy RPG developed by Nipponichi Software. This is the 5th game in the series, as the title suggests. Well, actually it's the 6th game, but I'll get into details. So this is similar to like Fire Emblem and Final Fantasy Tactics, if those were just raked up to 11.
Good luck.
So we're
Yes,
playing as
yes,
our
yes.
main character by the name of Kilia. It's kind of an edgy name that fits his backstory.
ステージクリアま
And
で
his whole
早い早い。
deal, he's going to be our main unit that we use for the entirety of the run, along with one other character we're going to be getting later. And he just has several different weapon types that we'll be using.
シミュレーションゲー
Also,
ム
I
とは
need
思え
the
ない移
name
動スピー
incentives
ドで
for
す
the
ね、これ。
trainees. What are the name incentives? At
これが噂の、エクスプローシブボディって書いてありますね。
yes.
Alright, so
な
the
るほ
first
ど。
one is my dude,
Okay.
Is it DOOD or DU?
DOOD.
Okay.
I need a space. Is there a space?
There is, and capital D as well.
All right.
It's not even Wednesday.
Wow.
It's Wednesday here.
It's always Wednesday, my dude.
All right, what's the next name?
The next name is simply Dude.
All right, that's easy enough. And the third name?
Well, I hope you're ready for this one. It's Doop Doop Doopy Doo.
All right.
Rip Jeff.
DOP, DOP.
Doopy.
Okay, I don't think this is gonna fit.
キャラネームもドネ
So
したか。
let's see if it will. Yeah, that's it. Oh well.
It's all good.
Oh, you're right. I also need to make my other characters. So let's just go back in here.
Yeah, so while we are primarily using Kilia for damage and wiping out enemies, as every map in this game you have to take out all enemies, he is making a bunch of different characters for utility roles.
Yes, and I'm making
そうですね、
warriors
3人
are gonna
の
use for
プリニーです
lifting
か
and throwing
あれの
later
名
on.
前
I'll
が
explain the
3人って言
path
っていいのか
when
な
we get around
3
to it.
匹その名前が
Alright, so the
あれで
start
す
of
ね
this
ドネー
run
ションで
is
決まってた
obviously a
そう
very
ですね
simple strategy. You're gonna do nothing but just punch things in the face.
Pretty much.
Yes, the combat in this particular episode is very simple. All we're gonna do is move up to things and literally just punch them in the face until they die.
Yeah, the important thing with using the fist weapon, because Killua can use a bunch of different types of weapons. The reason why fist is
でも
that's
どう
his
見て
default
も
weapon, so you don't have to equip
一
anything
人で
new.
無双してる
As
ように
well
しか
as
見え
it
ない
has a
ん
high
ですよ
chance
ね
of
こ
a
れ
counterattack, which is your main
プリンに出番あるんです
taking
か
out
ね
enemies when it is on their turn. Because normally the way this game works is all of your characters kind of take their turns in a row, and then when you end phase, all of the enemies do all their actions at once.
Yeah, the counterattacks in this game are going to be a real source of RNG for how fast we can go. Because obviously, if we can get hit and hit them back, then that will go faster.
Right.
いや
In
い
this
やいや
episode,
い
we
や
just
いや
want to
い
see
や
a
い
lot
や
of counterattacks as possible.
強すぎるでしょ
That
これ
allows us to go fast. Unfortunately, we can't really control that. So we just have to hope for the best.
Yeah, so this game is divided into 16 different episodes with 5 levels in each of them. So that's
もしかして
a grand total of
しばら
about
く
80 levels,
多
as
分
well
主人公
as
キャ
a
ラで
bunch
す
of
よね
levels that we're going to have
こ
to do
の
along the way
キャ
in
ラ一
order
人で
to
押し切る感
Get
じ
us
で
to
すかね
speed with
yeah,
the
get up to
grinding.
speed. So it ends up coming out to about 100 levels in less than an hour. You'll notice, if you're familiar
Less
with
than
the
90 minutes.
yeah, less than the 90 minutes, an hour and a half, I was going to say. You'll notice actually that he's not going to the hospital after each level. If you're familiar with the Disgaea games, there's a unit in the base that is called the hospital, and
じゃあ
she
本
heals
編に
you
な
up
る
to
と
full for a cost.
いや
This
いや
level
なん
is a
かでかい
little
のいます
nice
よ
because there's a neutral unit by the name of Red Magnus over there. Neutral units you don't have to actually kill. They'll target either you or your opponents, and usually you want them to target the enemies, but they're just kind of nice because a lot of them are strong enough to take out a few units on their own.
なるほど
Alright, so I'm just going to let Red Magnus kill that one unit, and that's the end of episode 1. And we also get a trophy at the end of every
主
episode.
人
This is
公
the
短
Switch
期
version
集
that I
中
played.
で
This was originally a PS4 game which has trophies.
投げるんでこれ
Just
投げる
incorporated
方
that one
投げられる方
feature in the Switch
多分投げられる
version.
方
So
ですよ
we will
ね
be seeing trophies pop up every now and then, just like in the PS4, which is a nice touch. So after every episode, we usually get some upgrades on our store so we can buy
じゃ
better
あこっから
stuff. I just bought some better
オ
equipment,
ピ終わっ
some
たって
better
ことは
healing
これから
items, and
本
I'm
番
going
で
to
すか
buy this thing called an ability, which is a passive ability. And the ability I bought, Mean Guy, it essentially increases the attack that Killia gets upon leveling up. And now we're going to go to episode 2, and we'll be introduced to geo effects.
Yeah, so geo effects, whenever there are these colored panels, if there are any of these little pyramids on them, they cause what is called a geo effect. So that all panels of the color that that geo symbol is on will have the geo symbol's effect, which can be stuff like attack plus 50, attack minus 50, enemy boost, which we really don't like. And if you ever attack a geo symbol, it will change all the geo panels underneath it to the color of the symbol that it
処理が早すぎて全然ついていかないけどああなるほど側面取ってくるってことは側面背面ボーナスがある感じですかね
which he just did, Exploding Tiger. Exploding Tiger is a water elemental skill, and we need it
いやい
because
や
we are
後ろ
going
から
to
なんてなんて卑
for
怯
the slimes. Slimes are very resistant to physical attacks, but very weak to the elements. And in this game, there are 4 elements: fire, wind, water, and star. And I'm gonna
今のゲームの表示はおそらくリロードしていただけると、今のものに更新されると思うので、ディスガイア5が表示されると思いますので、もしリロードしても、表示が変わらなければ何かしら問題がどこかにあるのかなと思うんですけれども、他に同じ、状態の方がいましたら教えていただけると助かります。
So you'll notice that a lot of the enemies don't move most of the time. That's because most stages have a passive AI, which means they're not going to move towards you unless you get within their attack range. So For the most part, we are just going to be moving towards enemies and then just hitting
ああ、
them with
じ
the
ゃあ、
most
あれで
effective
すね、ちゃん
skills,
と多分
which
表示の
most
方
of the
は
time
できてると
kills
思う
them
の
one
で、
hit.
どうもありがとうございます。
Yeah, so it's important to note that while there is no like strictly RNG manipulation in this game, all AI can be manipulated, and this is something you can kind of figure out just playing the games for yourself. Is that enemies have sort of a somewhat predictable AI,
Yeah.
and you can actually like. If you know what you're doing in a speed run, you can pretty much guarantee that enemies will always move the same way if you take the same actions.
Essentially, what happens is the enemy movement in this game is solely determined by the positions of the enemy units, or all units at the end of the turn. So if you end a turn on the same exact layout of the units, the enemies will move the same way every single time. And we're going to exploit that a little bit just so we can group enemies that are
同じ会社のゲームってことは伝
to
統ですね。
fight single-handedly together.
Yeah, so what he did just there was he attacked a geo symbol, and then that can cause a chain effect for any geo symbols of a different color that are on that same
それ
color.
もこのスピー
And
ド
one of
で
them is
やって
actually a
て、
geo
投
symbol
げるを
null,
正しく
which
見ること
if
が
you
でき
blow
る
up
のか。
every single geo symbol or geo panel on the stage, it creates this explosion which does a good amount of damage to enemies, as well as gets rid of all the panels, creates a flashy effect. And in that particular map, he wanted to do that because it sets off one of the enemy units' AI so that they actually come down off of this tower. Because height is an additional mechanic in this game. Enemies on a higher
なんか
elevation,
若干敵が
sometimes if they're really
ワン
high
パン
up,
で
you
落ちな
can't
くなって
actually
きて、
target
タ
them with
フ、
your skills. So you want to bring them
タフ
down.
になってきた。
All right, so here there's going to be a lot of zombie enemies, and they have a chance to
あ
poison
きっ
you.
ちり背面守りに行くの
That's
は。
going to be an RNG.
いや、でも
Right
囲
here,
まれ
he
て
just
ま
got
すね。
poisoned. So now he's going to have to pull out an ally and
Oh.
put a fairy dust on him to get rid of that, because you lose 20% HP per turn
つい
for
に。
being poisoned, and it doesn't matter what level you are, how many HP
いやいやいや
you
いや
have,
いやいや。
you lose 20% every time, which is quite
投げる
costly.
のか。
Alright, so once the zombies are gone, the boss is going to come towards us.
アイテム
Slowly.
係
He's
か。
not that much more threatening than the other enemies. He just has a lot more
呼ん
HP.
でアイテム使わせて。
So we're
たま
not
に
getting the
も
best
してるの
look
かな。
here since we're getting
して
poisoned
ま
a
す
lot,
ね。
but at least we can show off these printies here. So now that the zombies are gone, we just have the boss left. I'm gonna just attack him from behind as much as possible because you do get a bonus damage modifier when you attack things from behind. And that's the end of episode 2.
サ
So
プリ
now
に
we're
何
going to go
人
to
倒れたんで
episode
しょう。
3, and this is where a lot of the features open up. And we're gonna see
買い
a
捨
lot.
てです
This game has a
ね。
lot of speed tech built into it, just because the developers decided
使い
to
捨てなのか再利用してるから。
streamline most of the gameplay to make it easier for newer players to get into, and by extension, that means we have a lot of innate speed tech built in, and we're going to see some of that in this upcoming episode. But first, we're going to go to the strategy assembly and try to pass bills, which essentially unlocks new features. And right there, I passed a bill that unlock better items at the store. And I'm gonna pass this
これは今
bill
何をして
to
るんです
unlock
か。
the cheat shop,
なんか
which
買い
is
物な
a
のか
feature that we will use later. We'll explain it
何か
when
してるの
we
か。
get to use
あまりに
it.
も早すぎてついていけないん
And
です
now
け
we're
ど。
going to go to the Evility
Ah,
shop and buy a
なるほど。
couple Evilities, poison vaccine, which makes me immune to poison, so I no longer have to deal with that nasty status effect. And Jewel Blossom, which is a better sword for Killia, and a couple life jackets for better defense. And we got some better healing items unlocked, so we're just going to buy that and a couple fairy dust for good measure.
ああ、
And
なるほ
we're
ど
on to。the
武
next
器
stage.
揃えるのにも、あれですね。
Now,
同意が必要なんですね。
starting from this stage, we're going to see a lot of what makes some of the new features that makes this game so fast.
So as you can see, there's a lot of pink panels there. If he stands on those would ordinarily poison him, but thanks to poison vaccine, we don't have to worry about that. And so
何か資材を
this
作っ
chapter
て。
introduces squads as well as what is called squad attack, which is what he's doing here. Squad attack is one of the most
早すぎて何が起きたのか分かんないけど、
overpowered
すごい
skills
ダ
in
メー
the
ジが出た。
And the way it works is when your character hits revenge mode, which is indicated by a little purple meter next to the character portrait
Yeah,
and
suck
an
ですね。
R that appears above their head, the character can use squad attack once per stage. And what squad attack does is enemies as well as your allies are designated in squads. The Lost, which is the name of the army that we're fighting against,
持ってる武
have
器が
up to
確
3
かに変わ
different
ってる。
squads that they are members of. So GreenZSaber has routed out which enemies are part of which squads, and therefore which ones are most efficient to use squad attack against. It will hit enemies of the same squad. If you target one member of a squad, it will hit anyone regardless of where they are on the map. So even if you hit an enemy right next to you at the start, it could hit somebody so far off you wouldn't even see
あ
them.
まりにも早すぎて
Alright,
ス
we're
テータ
gonna
スが何にも見えない。
demonstrate attack again here. So I just target this one imp and then I killed every single imp on the map. And that's great because imps are
桁が
ranged,
数えられる
so
じゃ
they
常
like to
識
stay
的
away
っていうの
from
はすごいです。
me. So we want to use squad attack on enemies that are really
そんな
annoying.
にダメージインフレするんですか、これ。
Alright, we do have time for a donation if you want one.
All right, we have $15 from Kyo's Little Monster,
Yo, Kyos.
Hey, Kios.
and he says, "Hey, Green Z, it's your couch commentator from RPG Limit Break. Sorry I couldn't make it to support you for this run, but best of luck. Don't forget your curry, dude. No, dude.
Thanks, dude.
Got time for another?
いや、もう全然ダメージを食らってないようにしか見えないんだよね。
Hey, GreenZSaber, Riniko here. Thanks to you and your chat for inspiring me to get running DSGI5 even with my disability. I hope people see that
いや、圧倒的な火力差ですよ、これ。
run, let alone play by
50食らって
anyone. May the run
280
be
返してる。
fast and the cries of no,
いやいやいやいやいやい
never
や。
get old.
Thank you.
Nepu.
So this chapter is really interesting. Most of the enemies in this map will be kind of driven towards you, and enemies will be affected by poison, but we won't. So they're going to just kind of slowly die off over the course of several turns.
もうちょっとだけ HP が減ったように見えた。
Stage, unlike previous stages, they were very
いやいやいや、
fast.
こんなの
So we'll just exploit that by
普通なら
the poison sea. So
速
if you notice
攻
right
落ちてる
there,
よう
there's
な
a healer
囲まれ方
on
なんですけど
the
ね。
So I'm going to target a specific unit and
いや、
it's
主人公
gonna
人
kill
気すぎ
off
る
the
でしょ、
healer
これは。
quickly, because she's in the same spot as the unit I targeted. So we just killed off a unit that was way off on the other end of the map. So we don't even really need to get to her. Okay, so Killia dies, which is not a big deal because
あれ
the
別のキャラクターが出てきた。
poison, so we just waited out.
あれでも終
that's
わっ
the
た。
end of that. Now we are gonna stumble upon a little roadblock here. We need to go to the item world to progress the plot. But first we're gonna use this cheat shop a little bit to raise the experience and that we get from enemies and the enemy strength because the item that we're going to is really weak.
Yeah, so he wants to go to the item world to get a little bit more XP. The enemies are super weak that even buffing them to max level, which the cheat shot enables you to do, they only go from level 4 to level 13. Ordinarily, that will buff enemies up from like level, say, 10 to in the hundreds, because this game's level cap is absurd. So the item
この
world
手の
is a
ゲーム
feature
だ
in
と
the
3桁の
Disgaea
数字が出た時点でも
it does
う
something
エ
a
ンデ
little
ィング
different
近い
in
かな
each
っ
game,
て思っ
which is
ちゃうん
essentially
です
to
よね。
level up an item. The dungeon is randomly generated, so it is one of the elements of RNG, and kind of where the skill comes into play with item world
あ、経験値
is
とか金
you
のバラ
have
ン
to
ス変え
kind
られる。
of look at the map and immediately figure out what the best course of action is.
あ、なんかさっきいじってたのはそれですかね。
Yes, this is all randomized, so the only way to go fast is to just quickly discern what actions you want to take well ahead of time. There is basically no hesitating if you want to go fast.
スパロボ以上に
Yeah, so in Disgaea 5, as opposed to some of the earlier installments of this series, you have to wipe out every enemy on the map in order to
スパロボも
increase
イン
the
フレ
item
はし
level
ますから
of whatever
ね。
you
でもきっと
put into the
それ
item
だけ
world.
じゃ止まらないんでしょ
And
っ
he needs
てい
to
う。
raise his to level 10 in order to progress the story. Item world is normally a post-game feature that a lot of people have fun with in this series, but we're not going to be going here too often.
Okay, we got a good random event here. This is a green orb is a level sphere. When I destroy it, I will get 2 levels for the item. So it's nice that we got a good effect here. So we will be able to leave the item before we get to floor 10. So there are random events like this one that can cost us some time because they simply aren't really useful for leveling up the item.
Yeah, so just that little tutorial that
Yeah,
tells you about
き
costs
っ
you a
と
little
演
bit
出な
of
る
time.
技打ったんだろうなって思うんですけど、あんまりにも早すぎて。何もわから
It's
ない。
hard to keep up, isn't it?
Yes, and geo effects are also random, so we might see some nasty ones like clone, turbo times 3, enemy turbo ×3, death blow, which basically means one hit kill anything that's on the panel. And we're almost done with this section because of the level sphere. So I just need to clear this one floor, and then I'm going to use a Mr. Gensi exit to exit. Oh wow, we got the Prinny room. I want to do this room. I want to do this room so bad, but unfortunately it's going to be really slow. So we can't. I'm sorry.
じゃあこの速度でやってる演出技をなんとか見ないと、もう二度と見ることができない。
Normally you have to get to the 10th floor, and then the game will kind of use that as a checkpoint where you can manually leave. But the game also gives you these items called Mr. Gensi's exits, which
アイテム回っていうんですね。
We're going to turn the enemy's strength back to the default, so we can actually kill them and then heal up, and then we're going to go to the next stage.
Yeah. So kind of we touched on what the cheat swap does. Essentially, you can manually allocate how much of a given resource you get. So he takes out, so he gets less weapon EXP and money and resources, but he does get much more experience. So this level is really interesting. There are 3 different kinds of areas of enemies up at the top, on the right, and on the left. So he's going to go first to the right and then bring over some bait out the enemies towards the left, which he's going to use SWAT attack to just completely wipe out. And then now he's just basically taking care of 2 sides while he's let these neutral characters take care of the 3rd. So he really only has to wait out the rest of this level because the neutral characters are strong enough to take out the top. Usually in a casual playthrough you kind of go up that way to take out enemies because you want your characters to get experience, but experience is more carefully routed out in this run.
アイテム自体がダンジョン。
Alright, so episode 4, we're going to do a little bit of setup first before we proceed.
すごい呪いのアイテム的な雰囲気がプンプンとしてくるんですけど。まだじゃあ今あれですか。そのアイテム界でファームしてレベル上げて。 全部のアイテムにダンジョンがあるって、これはすごいな。
So this next level we're going to see a bunch of prinnies. These prinnies are from a completely separate netherworld, and they're more like ninja prinnies. So they don't make the familiar sound effects. Oh no.
会場がうまい。声がそっくり。
Oh my god.
So all I have to do is to stay in this one spot and just hit them with my area of effects skills, and that's the end of that stage.
So this area, you kind of start to notice another netherworld effect, which each chapter sort of has. In this world, randomly on each turn, a mushroom will pop up. And this kind of is really annoying. They don't do anything specifically but in the case of the run, the thing that they can do to be annoying is raise the elevation of an enemy so that something like Blade Rush might not hit all enemies that you want it to.
So we do have time for a donation if you got one.
We have a few, but I can just read one for now. We have $35 from Joshy Matt saying, "Can't believe someone can actually speedrun a Disgaea game. I took a vacation day from work just to watch this. Donation goes to Runner's Choice."
All right.
In fact, every game in the series has been speedrun to some capacity. So.
Yeah, this is just the fastest Disgaea speedrun, just because you can eliminate every single thing that isn't gameplay related. So skip all cutscenes, all tutorials, they can all be skipped. So it's just a
それのダンジョンに入って気づいたら
what he's doing is
世界が変わって
chaining
る。
together characters because you can actually what they call tower stack. And this is important because this allows us to get to the other end of the map in a single turn. And on the other end of the map are 2 geosymbols, one that has silence, which causes attacks, special skills to not be usable, and clone, which will randomly clone one enemy on the map, so they will just kind of randomly be generated on some random tile of the map. So that becomes a level of randomness that we don't want to have to deal with. So we take care of the clone symbol as soon as we can.
All right, so you might have noticed me bringing out some of my weaker characters at the end and just leaving them out there once in a while. So
All right, that's due
何の
to
ために出したん
the
だ
strategy. What we do is we bring out these weaker units so they can get one-hit KO'd by the enemies, and then that'll build up our revenge gauge, so we can just go and do a squad attack and take out half the map.
Essentially, what happens is you get a lot of revenge meter whenever one of your allies die. So Killia needs 3 units to die before he goes into revenge mode from an empty
あ
meter.
あ、アイテムダンジョン自体は、
So
なる
this
ほ
is a
ど。
strategy that I
ストー
will
リ
be
ーとはあんまり
utilizing a
関
lot.
係がない
It's a very powerful strategy, one that a lot of people do not know about. But it is one of the most powerful strategies that is used in the speedrun, because it allows me to manipulate to some extent how big my revenge meter is.
So there's this yellow neutral unit by the name of Usalia, who's kind of going berserk on the
今のが1回
enemies.
しか見れないってやつ
So
ですか。
Usalia is actually a very important story character and also the best character in the game, if you ask me. And she is, because of this, if she dies on this chapter, it causes a bad ending. And this is kind of annoying because she likes to attack just randomly, and she might attack us, and a crit counterattack would do a lot of damage to her. So he's just gonna kind of leave her to her own devices and
キャラを
actually
持ち
heal
上
her
げ
to
る
make
こ
sure
と
she
がで
doesn't
き
die.
て、キャラを持ったキャラを持ち上げ
So
る
I'm
ことが
gonna get
で
away
き
from
て、
here, and then I'll just leave the
さらにそれを持ち上げることができる。
But she's got enough HP to survive everything. And that's the
一人で
end of that.
4人ぐらいの
So
持ち上
she's
げら
kind
れ
of
る
gone berserk
ってい
for
う
some reason.
話
We haven't
に
really touched on the
聞こ
story
え
of this
ちゃうん
game.
ですけど、
The basic overview is there is a big
あ、
evil
そう大
dark
丈夫です
lord by
か？
the name of Void Dark, who is taking over all the netherworlds and completely just either destroying or enslaving all of their inhabitants.
そ
That's
れ
pretty
っ
much
て
all you
何
really
人
need
だ
to
よ。
know, because we're going way too
す
fast
ご
to
いな。
explain any of it.
All right, this is a very big setup episode. So right now we're going to get Usalia, put her in the foot soldier squad, which increases the stats of all the units in the squad by 10%. And then we're going to go unlock the curry shop. And the curry allows you to make a curry out of any number of items. So I'm going to make a curry but not use it. It'll be used in a little bit.
Delicious cotton candy and thimble curry.
And then I'm going to go raise the experience that I get from enemies, and then raise the enemy levels, and I'm gonna buy better healing items, and I'm gonna buy 100 more thimbles, and then a couple of weapons for Killia, and then I'm gonna swap his abilities to Paralysis and Weaken Vaccine, which are
ちょっとでかいマップが出てきたら、それが見れそうですね。
we don't need to worry about them. Then I'm gonna go to this stage, because we're gonna do some grinding, because yes, it is actually faster to grind to speedrun this game. I have done a run where I didn't grind at all, and it's way longer.
Important on this map, actually, is the enemies are manageable, even at enemy level 16, which is the optimal level we can set them to for experience. And there's also a geo panel that boosts experience by 50%. So Usalia is actually a designated monster class, and that allows her to perform an ability called Magic Change, which means that she turns herself into a weapon and equips
そう
herself
です
to
ね。なんか
weapon
緑色
character.
に変わったの
This
が
is
分かりました
important
け
in
ど、
this particular case, not because she offers any real benefit here, but
これが
this
何
does
ですか
mean
最
that
初の
she's
時
going
に
to
説
get
明してもらってた
levels as
地
well
形
as
効果かなんかで
mana,
すか
which
ね。
is used for getting abilities and upgrading skills. So he wants her to be able to keep up, and in Magic Changing, both her and Killia get maximum EXP.
Alright, so the purpose of that stage was to unlock the skill Hellfire Shot, which he just did in that chapter.
なるほど。そ
Now
こ
I'm
ま
gonna
で
eat the curry
そこでも
and
経験値を上げ
another
ていく
one
と。
like it. So every time you put a thimble or any fist item in the curry, it will raise the critical hit by 1%. So right now we have a 100% critical hit rate, which does 50% extra damage, and we need all the attack power we can get, because these enemies are level 99, and we are going to be fighting them really under leveled with a level 48 Killia. However, we can actually defeat these level 99 enemies because of the way damage works in
あ、
this
耐え切ってる、普
game.
通。
So every single unit in this game has a weapon
キノコっぽいのに
weakness
強いな。
and an elemental weakness, more like resistances rather.
Yeah. The most important thing with this Alia there is she has a skill called Braveheart from the very beginning, pretty much, of the
で、もう
run.
体力4000ぐらいある。
And that allows him
敵
to
が
buff Killia's
5900 っ
attack.
て出てました。
So While these enemies are set to level 99, they're just barely manageable. And at level 99, an enemy gives the same amount of experience that they give at level 323. This isn't a glitch, it's more a quirk in the mechanics of the Disgaea games. So every game in the series has this. It's one of those little useful tidbits. If you know this, it helps you grind considerably faster, which, while any percent does pretty much just the story mode of the game, there is a whole lot of post-game content, like to the point where many people say the post-game is the real game.
皆さんどっちから食べますかね。
There's
尻尾
just
か
a
ら行
whole
くの
lot
か
to
頭から行くの
mess
か。
with this game. Part of what I really like about it.
So these mushroom enemies
全然
are
関
weak
係ない
to
話なんですけどね。
sword, which I am using, and they're also weak to fire, which Hellfire Shot is, a fire elemental skill. So if you couple that together with Braveheart, which is a buff skill that increases kill against attack, with Curry, critical hit rate, that's a lot of damage, and that allows us
腹と背中ですか。
to handle these mushrooms with ease.
聞いてみるもんだ
So
な。
we
あ、
started
初め
this
て。
chapter in the 40s. Right now he's level 94.
So you can see just how fast the levels
なるほど。
go.
頭から食べるのは
The right
優
places
しさと。
to do.
Yeah, this is kind of the step they don't really intend for you to figure out, but they program into the game like after you've kind of built up a lot of knowledge. So it's really useful in rounding out beating the game really fast. So now he's going to lower his EXP and lower the enemy levels again, and now he's going to make sure that he gets more
腹
money.
から行くのをちょっと今度試してみたいな。
Alright, so I'm gonna buy a fist for
え、
Killia
いやでも
and
尻
some
尾
shields
は
for Killia, and then we are ready to go to the next story stage. And at this
頭
point, we are
頭を
way
でも
above
持つと
level
あんこ出
present
てきそうだ
enemies.
な。
That we're gonna face are level 20, and we have a level 101 Killia on our side.
わかんないですよ。腹渡が美味しいとか言うかもしれない。たい焼きにはないですけど。
Because the spear has a range of 2, and counterattacks in this game are affected by the range of your regular attack. So we can now kill enemies.
もしかしたら味が変わってるのがあるのかもしれないな。
Obviously makes things a lot faster.
Alright, so everything that isn't a boss is gonna be dying in one hit for most of these episodes.
さあ、すみません。脱線しちゃったんですけど、経験値が 175% になってるっていうのを見た方がいたそうで。なるほど。
Like for example, for this stage, the main way to go fast
なん
on
か
this map is to
ダ
take
メ
care
ー
of
ジ
the
を食ら
red
っ
enemies.
てない
And
場
once
面
most of the
と
red enemies
た
are
い焼きを
gone,
食ってる場面しか見ない。
and you are in
いや見れない
revenge mode, you will just use a squad attack to wipe out most of them. So right here we have an enemy base panel, which spawns an enemy at each turn up until
あ
a
れ気づい
certain
たらダ
point.
メージが
At this point, it ran
4
out of
桁になってる。
enemies to spawn, so we just clean up all the rest of the surviving enemies.
確か10分ぐらいの時に3桁入ってて、30分で4桁入ってるん
In
で、
fact, in the last shop menu, he picked up an item of boots, which increased
まあ5桁は硬そうですね、この感
And
じ
the。way jump works is your character can move up a certain number of units. And ordinarily, this chapter, this level, they want you to kind of build up a staircase with these ice blocks. But if you set your jump stat high enough, you can just walk up these steps.
101だからねっていうふうに言われましたよ。
In this,
どこまで上がるのかがわからない。
what we're doing is the AI pathing manipulation. So in this level, you can really see it. You specifically
こ
stand
う
on certain
ドラクエとか FF 的にはもうカンストしてるはずなんですけど
I
ね。
stood on this specific, ended my turn on this specific spot, and the healer and chimera just group up together so I can kill them in one attack.
Yeah, because many of your special skills will have a variety of different like ranges. Right there, Hellfire Shot.
桁がすごい
The way
な。
it works is it has sort of a plus shape, so you can hit up to 5 enemies if they're standing in those 5 spaces.
Alright, so this is a boss stage. As you can see, the boss does take at least 2 hits to kill, but if we are in revenge mode, we can one-shot them because
なるほど、
Curry
その
does
レ
not
ベル上
last
げも
forever. It
一つのやり込み要素
lasts
と。
only up to a certain number of stages, and with revenge
あ、ボス
mode,
逃げれなかったです
you get
ね。
100%
残
critical
念。
hit rate when you enter it.
移動範囲内に入ったのが運の尽き。
So sometimes we don't need too many curry effects.
でも時間からするとあと1時間ぐらいですよ。
This upcoming episode, we don't need to do anything special as far as setup goes, so we just go on to the next stage.
So you saw there, actually, there was an enemy that says Usalio's father. She was having to deal with like a necromancer, which is why she went berserk several chapters ago. episodes ago. So in this particular level, the concern is
現実的に
an enemy type
和
called
風
the Ninja, and Ninja have an ability that caused them to
ここでも忍者出て
have
く
a
るのか。
50% chance of dodging your attack if you're standing right next to them. So not only is the spear really handy here,
しかも忍者が大暴れしてましたから
to
ね
range。for counterattacks, but Hellfire Shot's also really useful because it can attack enemies multiple squares away.
Right, so we just
Oh,
have a boss.
oh,
and I'm
Kyuubi no
just gonna
kitsune
attack
っぽい。
her until she dies. If I get next to her, I get a little text box with some dialogue that we don't want to see. Alright, so we do have time for another donation or two.
I just want to make a little note. So before this run started, we had a $10,000 donation from Funhouse. Well, it turns out they contributed yet another $10,000. And then on top of that,
おおおおおお
and on top of that, a $1,564.54
あんな
donation,
でかいエフェクトで打った
making
の
for a total
平気で耐えて
of $21,564.54.
Thank you very much.
早い。
Got time for another?
Sure.
All right, we have $1,500 from Jadrin saying, now the Prinnies have enough money to buy a ton of sardines. Heck yeah, dude. Just kidding. This is going to Doctors Without Borders, so no sardines for you. Oh, why does this
なん
always
か
happen to
まともな
us,
武器を
dude?
持ってないように見えてしまったが、
Yeah, the Prinnies are sort of the lost souls of wasted lives who did petty things in their lives. So they were sewn into this little penguin body, and they're kind of just the butt of every joke in the Disgaea series.
射程長そう。
Alright, so you might notice that I'm not sacrificing my units on every stage. That's because some stages have the base
射程長いなんていうレベルじゃないな。なんだ今の。
certain stages like this one, it's beneficial to sacrifice our allies to force revenge mode because you can just take out a lot of enemies, just like I just did earlier, where I took out about 10 enemies with just one squad attack.
これはあれですか。もうエフェクトが二度と再生されないスキルを使ってるということでいいのかな。
But for a stage like this, we can't, because as you can see, the base panel is just too far apart from the enemies. Now, this stage is one of the more unpredictable stages because there's this neutral army that's attacking the main enemy army, and there's no telling what units are going to be alive at the end of, by the time we reach that center area, because stuff like counterattacks is random. So
yeah, there's also missing and criticals as well. So
right.
And then as well as a mechanic called nicking, which is sometimes you get an attack and it ends up being less effective. And this is one of the other areas of randomness in this game.
Alright, so we are going to use squad attack to wipe out the remaining units that are not in the same squad as the boss. So we just have the boss to deal with. He's a fairly tanky unit, so I'll just attack him from behind until he dies. And that's the end of that. And then coming up, we have a boss fight with a recurring boss whose name is Bloodis. He's one of Void Dark's demon generals, and the way to handle him is simple. You just swap your weapon to a fist and repeatedly punch him to death.
Yeah, this fight's so easy, he could do it blindfolded.
So, and that's Bloodis. He just has a lot of HP.
わざわざ武器を外して素手
The reason we swap to a fist is because Bloodis is weak to fist. So the mere act of swapping your weapon, because you can hold two weapons in this game because you have the ability to swap them at the touch of a button. And exploiting weapon resistances and elemental resistance is very important in optimizing damage output. So right here, I bought
武器に耐性。じゃあ相手に合わせて武器を交換して、適切なもので殴ると。ただ最後は結局殴ると。
3% extra stats for each enemy on the map. And it's very powerful for this upcoming stage actually because we can just use the sacrifice strategy to force kill into revenge mode, and we're going to use a squad attack to wipe out over half of the stage, just like that.
So you notice he pulled out a unit by the name of Christo, this green hair.
ダメだ、瞬きしたら敵がいなくなる。
He's kind of like the main tactician in the army, but his main purpose in the run is to stand next to our characters because having him do that is pretty much the only reliable means to get 100% accuracy. So all of your attacks in this game have a 99% accuracy normally, which is usually good enough. But sometimes that 1% can be a real annoyance when you're hitting, 20 enemies with squad attack. And even more so on this particular section, the Netherworld effect here lowers accuracy. So we want to guarantee that squad attack will kill enemies. Otherwise, it's going to be a very long trek to go and
タンクキャラを置いて、持続で戦って、範囲で攻めそうなマップなんですけどね。
So we do have time for a couple donations.
Absolutely. We have $50 from Court.
耐えなきゃいけないのは向こうだったってやつですね。
All right, any others?
Give me just one moment. How about $25 from Kona Rican? The Disgaea series has been my favorite strategy game in the series ever since the tutorial of the first game. One other game asked, does it make sense to beat up your allies?
No.
ヘッドショットのエフェクトがあったんだけど、当たったのかどうかまで判定ができなかった。
One of the things I've always kind of enjoyed about this game and the series as a whole is rather than like force you to feel like you really have to do everything, really carefully.
もう何がどうなってるのかわからない。
In fact, the game actually rewards you for getting hit a whole lot in some ways in the form of the hospital rewards. So there are these enemies here. They're bears. They have very much HP.
Yeah,
I had to do one.
So we're not going to be able to one-shot these most of the time, but we can two-shot them, so that's good enough for us. Those purple-haired enemies are armor
まずこの高低差を登ることが信じられない。
They have this ability where if they're defending, they will rush towards a unit that you're attacking and take the hit for them.
Another part of this run that we try to do is we kill certain enemies at certain points.
作品違えば竜騎士ぐらいしかできないんですよね。
Avoid enemy skill animations because a skill animation is played the first time at a scene. So we save time by killing certain enemies at certain times to skip some rather long ones.
Yeah, there's a lot of different attacks we don't get to see. And the animations, while they are some of the best parts of this game, they are also time-consuming. So he has actually routed it out so that certain enemies that have skill actions that you don't see too often, he's going to take those out as fast as he can, so we never have to see them.
もう敵が、お
It's also being played at 4 times speed.
なんかかっこいい演出入ったんだけど、主人公混ざってなかったか今。
Well, it's normal speed for me.
Yeah, you can hold down B and speed it up. Or
I've been playing this series since 2008 at least, so I know my way around these games.
So,
まあ、膝の高さというか、普通に甲冑とか着込んでたら、歩くの精一杯ですからね。
That's the end of episode 7. So we're almost halfway through.
フルプレートアーマーって一回転ぶと自分で立ち上がれないって言いますからね。そういう意味では膝の高さが超えられないナイトはまあそんなもんかなっていう感じですけど、見てるとね、鉄板系の装備とか全くしてないんで、そうですね、むしろもっといけるのか、もっと高いところが。いやでもあれが崖だってみんな思うよな。崖は登れるものっていうね。そう、防具と別で、ストリート上げるメガネと HP 上げる筋肉。HP 上げる筋肉。外骨格かなんかつ。いや、時止めたのはもうやったでしょって。何でしたっけ？ガントレット時間止めてましたっけ？移動無限もすごいな。
see them.
どのマスにも歩けるだけですね。いや、シミュレーションゲームでそれやったらもう別ゲーですよ。
Unit called Armor Knight, which will just swap themselves and take the blow for you.
なんだ
This chapter is kind of this level is kind of interesting. In what you do is you can actually throw enemies out of bounds and they die instantly. And this is important because there are 2 squads of succubuses, and those.
And I just killed 1 squad.
He basically took out 1 squad before that they could activate the clone panel effect there. So the nice thing about cloning
今あれですよね、床ないとこに投げて、やっぱり、じゃあこれ飛べない系のキャラクターは即死ですか？飛べるやつは大丈夫とか、そういう感じですかね。
And that's the end of those succubuses, succubi, whatever you want to call it. And we just have 1 more unit to take care of, and that's in that stage. Alright, so the next stage is just going to be very basic. I just warp to 1 area, take out the enemies, and warp to the other area. So if you want to read a few more donations, go ahead.
Alright, I just want to take a moment to update you on the bonus main character scenario bid war. So, in a clear lead right now with $1,055 is Laharl from Disgaea 1. Following up from there with $275, that'd be Mal from Disgaea 3, and with $170,
落とすためだけに盾を持つっていうのもありましたから
and
ね。
with only $50, we have Valvatores from Disgaea 4. So if you happen to
あ、
want
ジョーがダメなんだ。
this, the
羽があ
bonus
っ
main
てもダメなん
character
だ。
scenario, you've got a lot of work to do. We're also almost halfway to the donation incentive to get Nisa after the game. So,
You got about 45 minutes left to go.
お、なんかまた
do we have time for
また対戦持ちかなこれ。
Sure, this is just blood. This
殴ってる気がす
you
る。
already explained them.
Okay, we have $25 from Dragoon. Disgaea is a great series. Excited
あ
to see the
少
run,
々、
dude.
お待ちください。ちょっと裏方で作業していきます。
Dude.
あ、どうも。
We have $50 from Al Shiny.
よろしくお願いします。
Character sounds cool, dude.
すみません。
いえいえ、普通の方は、寝てるお時間ですんで。はい。解説の方が、入っていただきましたので、私の、スタンタイムはこれで終了ということで、ピンクパジャマスさんで、読み方大丈夫ですかね。
ああ、そうですよ。
あ、ピンクパジャマさん。なるほど。では、あと、解説の方、お願いしてもよろしいですか。
はい、いいですよ。
はい、では、バトンタッチということで、よろしくお願いします。
So it's very time consuming. So we make sure we try to get rid of them as fast as possible or stay away from them when we can.
Right.
ちょっとチャット。
This is one of those units that's very dangerous. You really do not want to get lifted.
そうなんですよね。皆さんに助けられて、なんとかなんとか。
You get lifted. That is a lot.
それをばっかりですよ。
Speed run.
あ
So right here, I'm going
あ、
to
それ
imagine
で
a couple of monster
の
characters.
は
And as Ghost King explained earlier, magic change characters
う
do
っ
get the
さ
same
りを
experience
使ってないようで
as
す。
the human characters that we will win. So what I
まずは
is
キリア一人だけ
trying to
で
level up their subclasses because subclasses
ストーリーを進行しています。
every
です
single
か
class has a subclass associated with it,
Ah.
and any unit can switch to that job subclass.
まずは拳を使って武器ですよ。
And
ですけど、今は槍
you can also unlock
使って
classes.
ます。
Right here, I'm trying to rank up my monster subclasses so I can unlock a very useful class later on.
キリアは拳使ってる
Right, so this stage is
人
one of
が
those
いるん
stages
だけ
where
ど、
we make use
それ
of
は
and right when I end my turn, those 3 cats are gonna group up in an L shape, so I can just kill them with a hard shot. Essentially, what I want to do is focus on the cat enemies,
あ、いいえ、大丈夫ですよ。
and then when I get
カウンター
to
ため
the
ですよ。
eventually,
あ
I'm going to use a squad attack on those human archer enemies, and then I'll just kill them.
大丈夫ですよ。
The world effect of this particular chapter
日本人じゃないの
is
で。
fire resistance of
いえ
all
いえい
units
え、
on the
もう
map
本
go
当
down
解説していただけるだけでありがたいので。
happens to be a fire-based skill. So not only does it have a good area of effect, but it's also just really useful at wiping out enemies that might not otherwise be completely one.
クラスのことを解説
I think we've said all about
あ
this episode, so if you want to throw in a few more donations there.
走る間にキリアのサブクラス
We have
を
$20 from Red Mage 3555. Keep this donation train rolling. Chugga chugga choo choo.
使いました。
We've got a $150 donation from Chisos. It's just
それは別のクラスを解除するた
we
め
have a $25 donation
も
from Davey
武士のクラス
recently finished this game
の
a few weeks ago. Getting excited to see it
マビ
completely
リテ
destroyed in a
ィ
fraction
も
of the
大事
time
で
it took
す。
me casually.
2つのマビリティを持っ
The thing
て
about
ま
this
す。
speed run is that it's very casual friendly. I'm not really using any glitches. There are no really
それ
complicated
は
timing based inputs in this run. I'm just playing the game normally but quickly. So anyone can really learn how to speed run this game. They just need to take the time to understand the game mechanics
準
and
備した
put
は
in the
ず
effort to learn these stages. And this game conveniently has a retry feature where you can just retry the stage you were at. Save state.
それで
Yeah, just set right before the beginning of the level.
ランク5
So this is a
と
very
ランク4のマビリテ
So
ィ
right now I'm
が
gonna unlock the Magic Knight class, which I
戦争本能
I
と
had changed earlier. I'm gonna buy Kilia the best sword, and
シャブ
a
ル
gun,
イ
a water pistol, and then I'm gonna buy a bravery belt
そして
for more attack. And then I'm
今
gonna
やってることは
change his abilities so he gets muscle increase and a few boosting.
今やってることは
Then
ステータスを
change Killian
防ぐためのマビリティ
right now. Kill it to a Salzo warrior, and then I'm gonna pass this build, which is one of the most RNG heavy moments. Oh wow, first try!
そして前に確かに経
That's
験
like a 1 in
値
3 chance
防い
to
で
get
ま
14
した
tries at
こ
essentially.
のチートショップで
20 attempts at this particular build once. So just to give you an idea of how frustrating that build can be.
Those
Every
item world pretties
time-
bless the run, dude.
Yeah. Every time I fail to pass that build, I lose at least 7 seconds.
So here we have level 99 enemies.
ここも稼ぎの時間です稼ぎウサギを
We're gonna grind on a bit.
稼ぐためですマジチェンジ
And what's important to note about it is
を
we're
して
gonna
ま
level
す
Killia and
それで
at the same time. And we equip
キリエの
our
サ
pistol
ブ
so
武
we
器
can
として
use
イサリア
water element
になってま
because
す
these guys
それ
are
で
used to it, and then we can just
キリエとウサリアが経
Essentially,
験値を
these
稼
guys
ぎま
have
す
over
そして
well, you might notice
ウサリアのサブクラス
not
も
10,000, it is around 4,000.
稼
more
い
or
でま
less.
す
And the reason we can do
それも大事でそのマビリティを
attack plus 50%.
返すためです
The sword, the skill I'm using is a sword skill, and these guys are weak to sword.
その
And the
モ
water
ビリ
pistol
テ
does
ィ
make my all
戦争本能
non-elemental attacks
はリベンジ
water.
ゲージの
And
上
these
昇
guys are
率
very weak
プラス
Even though you magic changed
50%
Usalia
で
Killia's
あ
weapon,
フッシュブルイ
maintains the passive
は
bonus
マ
of the water pistol. I
ップ
personally
上
think it's
に
really
い
cool how
る敵
you can route in
と
something like the
数
weakest gun in the game due to a
かける
convenient little thing that it
3%
has
能
and
力
still
が
get some sort
ア
of
ッ
use
プ
out of it. There's a whole lot to tinker with in this series. The other nice cool benefit of this particular map is one of the geosymbol effects is experience plus 100%. So we had to come unlock this specific stage to grind, and it happens to be one of the best grinding spots. He's doing this mainly because now that he has changed his subclass, he needs to level that subclass up in order to get
な
really
る
useful
ため
abilities
に
for both Killia and
ウ
Usalia.
サリア
But
の
also, this also has the
魔
nice
王儀
benefit
を
of
使
bringing
う
his characters up to level 300.
その魔王儀が
long as
めっちゃ強い。
finish the stage
全体攻
4 times,
撃
we
の
will get the subclass ranks in the levels
魔王
to
です。
just breeze through the rest of the game.
今退場して
Now,
な
we
い
are
け
going to
ど、
also face a lot
これ
more
は
competition, and we're going to see a lot more free speed tech that opens up later on in the run. Because while squad tech is a very powerful ability, there are actually more powerful abilities that allows us to go much
一
faster.
発で、
Alright, so if you have one more
その
donation,
マップを
go ahead.
All right, I have an anonymous $150 donation. No comment, but thank you very much for your generosity. Do we have time for another?
Sure.
ね、
Where'd it go? We have $25 from General Prinny. Hey all, been a long-time fan of the Disgaea series, so figured it was a great time to donate. Gotta get the limited edition bundle. Good luck, dude!
とやら稼ぎが終わってしまいましたな。
Alright, so
それ
now that the
で
run is done, I'm going to
ベルトも
for Salia because her attack isn't the
買いま
her
し
attack
た。
growth isn't
ベ
as
ル
high as
ト
Kilia's,
が
and she needs all the attack she can get at this point.
アタック攻
We're
撃
gonna fight a lot of
を
zombie enemies.
上げるためです。
Zombies will die in one hit because we're all obviously way over leveled now compared to them.
重要なのは一発
So
を
I'm going to just move
敵を
the,
一
to
発
various
を
slots to line up
倒
the
せることで
zombies
す。
properly. So right here, I'm gonna Kalfar shot this group and then wait right here. Then what that's gonna do is these two chimeras over here will line up
と
nicely, so I can kill both of them with vacuum.
前に何回やった
While these two are
よ
out,
く使ったスキルですが、
stats for Kilia will get lowered
こ
by
こ
10%.
でも
Now, squad attack is a very powerful ability,
で
but
す。
it
それ
does
は
get weaker the more units
英語
you
で
have.
スクワッドア
I
タッ
need
ク。
to trim down the zombie army a little bit.
そのスクワッドアタッ
Do
ク、
squad attack.
いや、
And
ここで
just
す。
like that, we
そう、
set
こ
off
こ
over
で
10 enemies.
すよ。リベンジしてる間しか使えない。
So right here,
そ
we're
れ
going
は
to sacrifice our Prinnies to force revenge
同
on Kilia.
じ
And then we're gonna actually use
スクワッド、
It actually stopped.
そして同じ
This
ス
is
ク
the
ワ
one
ッド
time in the
の
run we used one of Usalia's damage skills just so that, well, one of the few times.
敵に
it's a 3x3
攻撃
area
を
of effect
してく
skill.
る。
I just love it for that animation alone, but it's also really effective as area of effect clear.
So just like that, I believe there's about
それは
25 enemies in this stage, and we just cleared them like nothing.
それもめっちゃ強いです。
So that's the power of squad attack and AoE skills. Now, right here, we're going to use Kilia and Usalia and split them up. Usalia's going to take care of the units that
ウサリア
are
のブレイブハッ
up
ト
here. Kilia's
は
going to take care of the rest of the enemies down there.
アタック
And there are enemy base panels we have to deal with.
上昇するた
In
め
a few turns, we can take care of.
それも大事です。
I am in revenge
マウギは
attack to wipe out a few more.
あ
Alright, so it's just gonna be me attacking these zombies for a bit until they're all gone. So you want to throw on?
そのキャラの
Most certainly.
を
We have a
消費して
$500
ないの
donation
で
from ton. Can't watch live, so
ブ
here's
レイ
some
ブハ
cash,
ット
dude.
も
Thanks, dude.
マオ
And
ギ
another.
を使ってきます
We have $30 from Age. Hello from the Disgaea Discord. We're all rooting for you, so sacrifice some printies to appease the great Asagi.
この章はウサリア
There's these zombie rabbits in our carrot patch, which we most certainly
ストーリー
don't
的
want.
にウサリア
This whole
の
chapter, there's sort of like the peaceful netherworld that's been taken over by the evil necromancer who
なので
basically caused Usalia to go berserk and kind of zombified her parents, as we saw earlier.
They're very
この
little, so that we just help our shot them.
マッ
and
プ
they
の
just die.
後に
So there's not much to worry about.
Yeah, so this next chapter, we're going to have to deal with that necromancer.
マオ
James,
ギ
so you
を
wanna
手
go
に
ahead
入
and
れます
elaborate on it?
そして
Go ahead.
Necromancer?
Yeah, this is a very tough
その
one coming up, so I
強い
have to back out of the
のが
map select screen and then up
見えます
do
そ
some
してその
upgrades for Salia.
武士のモビリテ
Brain
ィ
part skill to plus
を
2, which gives
サリア
more
に
of
つ
an
けて
attack
ます
boost, and then we're gonna put her on top of the party. Okay, wrong arrangement. Let's see. Killia should go up here. All right, now we're good.
All right, so coming up, there's
メニュー
extremely
時間
difficult
の
boss. It
That's
takes,
not
決める
Bloodless.
ため
but
に
yeah, it's specifically not Bloodless. That's how you know it's a difficult
ウ
boss.
サリア
Right.
と
And so it takes a whole lot of strategy and teamwork, and we have to make sure that we know exactly what we're doing at all times because we
キリ
want
エが
That's it.
最上
That's it.
Right.
してま
That's
す
it. That was the boss fight.
Yes. So, because like in the story of this game,
その
characters kind of.
都市
the character
の
development is realizing the power of allies and
モビリ
friendship,
ティ
and what that ends
と
up translating to
ウ
as
サ
their
リ
sort
ア
of like story
の
benefit. In the gameplay mechanics, actually, is that's how they get
持って
their
る
overload. Usalia just happens to get hers there.
自然に
It's
持
not
って
normally
る
as strong as
モ
SWAT
ビリ
attack,
テ
but
ィ
because we have so many levels and a bunch of buffs stacked there,
Or-
it ends up being quite a lot.
So what her
Okay.
overload does, it attacks every single enemy on the map. It doesn't
攻
matter
撃
how high they are or where they
味
are.
方が
Just straight up attack everything on the map, and just like that, we cleared the stage.
隣のマ
Of
スに
course, we're going to be
いると
exploiting this
攻撃力が上
heavily
げま
throughout
す
the rest of the run.
それはウサリアのモ
So
ビリ
you'll
テ
also
ィで
notice
す
that he pulls her out
そして
immediately and then puts a bunch of units right next to the base map. The
この
reason
後
for this is Usalia now has an ability that she gains plus 20% attack for each ally that she is standing adjacent to,
が
and this stacks.
ウ
So
サ
that's
リア
an
の
80% bonus.
リベンジを手
You
に
can't use these
入るこ
overload
と
strategies
で
here because the geo effects just do not let me set up
え
this strategy properly. So we're just gonna have to do the old-fashioned way and just
ー
pursue the
ここは
enemies
違
and
う
destroy them.
Yeah, so these barrels
リベンジ
explode,
の
and
セッ
because
トアッ
these
プ
enemies,
は
like if you throw these
ない
enemies
の
into
で
the barrels, it just causes a chain
は
reaction
早くない
domino
ので
effect where they all just blow
普
up.
通にキリエだけで
Yeah,
してますが
and so they gained the Prinny's ability for
Just
that.
like that, I stood next to them
通常は
and up, which is nice AI there.
ウサリアのリベンジ
Alright,
を
so we've explained the mechanics of the overload. The one thing that
手に入って
about the overload itself is that you need to be in
その
revenge
マップ
mode
を
to
一
actually use
発
it. So what we're going to do
します
is
そして武士の
what we're going to implement is what I call the triple
モビリ
S
が
strategy, and
モビ
it
リティ
stands
がいなけれ
for
ば
sacrifice,
4
stack,
人
and,
を犠牲す
slaughter.
る必要です
So
が
first, he's going to sacrifice units to get revenge mode, and
その
then
モビ
he's
リ
going
テ
to
ィ
stack
のお
buffs
か
by
げで
placing units as well as sometimes casting
3人しか
Braveheart,
犠
and then
牲
just slaughter enemies, usually
十分
with
です
Usalia's
そして
overload.
これ
Which,
は
as you can see, even though we're several
ボ
levels
スな
over,
の
we
で
didn't quite finish the boss in one go, so
こ
we
の
had to
マッ
kind
プ
of
はボ
tower
スなの
blow
で
Usalia
一発で
over to the boss.
倒せないですが
And not all bosses are gonna survive. Some
その
won't,
一つの
like in the upcoming stage. So we're
ボス
just like last time. We're gonna use the sacrifice strategy. So here's the sacrifice step.
一つに
Okay, so
攻
all
撃して
the
倒します
sacrifices are dead. Now we get revenge mode. So we're gonna stack our buffs like so, and then we're gonna slaughter everything.
You'll also notice that he pulls Usalia out, puts her back in the base panel, then pulls his units out. A character has to actually be on the map in order to get into revenge mode.
All right. So for this upcoming stage, I'm going to unlock and
これのクエストなんだけ
celestial
ど
host classes
あ
because they are very useful buff units.
キリエのサブクラスを
A celestial host is next to an ally.
どん
They
どん
buff those allies
変え
up by
てこのクラスを解除するためです
So as you can imagine, it's a very useful support unit.
この天使のモビリティ
have enough
が
troops around Usalia
隣の
and if needed. We're not
マス
gonna use
の
for most of the stages, but
キャ
it's
ラ
important to have
に
four of them
攻撃を上げるため
to
です
stack up those buffs as
そして
And that also stacks with Usalia's evil T that gives you 20%.
それは一
Jason
発
ally.
right.
So you're just putting stacks
right
on.
ウサリアで
This
一
is the
発でき
sacrifice
る
the triple S strategy again. So if I wasn't clear enough the first time, I'm just gonna try to hammer it into your heads here. So there's the sacrifice step. allies are dead. Now we get revenge mode. So now we're going to do the stacking step, which is just surrounding Usalia with units to buff up her attack power, and you can slaughter everything. And that's the end of that stage.
天使を
That
隣
stage
に
in
回す
particular
に
is really annoying because there are enemies that are really high up that you have to kind of like throw a bunch of boxes and kind of chain things together to get up there. So being able to wipe them out from the base panel is extremely convenient.
So once again, sacrifice. So sacrifice, stack, and then slaughter. So that's most of what we're going to do for the rest of these upcoming stages. So the thing is, though, I am positioning my sacrifices in a very particular way so that they will all get killed on the first enemy turn in as little actions as possible. So that is how we route out the sacrificing part for most of these stages. It saves a few milliseconds or seconds here and there, but as I said before, in a game like this, every second counts. Losing like 5 seconds on a single stage is a huge deal in this game, considering how short this speedrun can get.
このマッ
He never
プ
throws the Prinny, and that's because if we haven't touched on that
後
yet,
に
Prinnies explode when you throw them.
キリアが
Give
放送して
revenge meter when you throw them, so it's not a feature that we will want to use here. Okay, so the boss
強い
survived,
ま
and
ま
that's normal.
になって
Now we're going to see a very useful effect of another effect of Usalia's overload.
その
So when you
No.
attack an enemy and they survive,
マウギに
Usalia
なっ
will
てしまう
swipe in and just hit the enemy for
それで
whatever attack.
Yeah, she just does a follow-up attack, no matter how
敵
far
艦
away.
に回す
So right here, Killia has sort of a corrupted side that kind of finally gets unleashed right now, and this just gives him cheat modes where he just has infinite turns.
艦
And
が
shots everything
終わ
on
り
this
ま
level.
せん
Right, that's the end
バンド
of that episode.
何でも
About 18 seconds if you do it correctly.
入力しても
Nothing personnel, kid.
敵を全滅できます。それはそのマップだけです。
Alright, so
あ
we're going to the next netherworld, which is Flowerful. It's a very
キリアのマオ
outdoorsy
ギ
area.
は
And we're just going to be using
3ターン
triple S strategy
を
all throughout these stages.
でき
So if
る
you
マ
want
オ
to
ギ
read some
で
donations to go right ahead.
リベンジ
We have $15 from Big
も
Sauce. This Disgaea fun,
Status,
this Disgaea 5 run is going so fast it hurts my eyes to look at.
攻撃
So
も
I'm just
上
going
げ
to
ま
take a
す
break from watching and assume you're doing great.
それもされ
You can always watch it in slow motion.
そして
Just listen.
前にウサリアの武器なんだけど
That is probably how I would recommend most people learn the speedrun of this game. If they are
風の
just watch a video
風属性の武器を買っ
or
て
like half speed. I think that would be
しまいました。
enough to
買っ
follow.
て装備し
Maybe
て
quarter speed. It's pretty quick.
So also, he picked
こ
up
の
an
章
item
に
called the leafy.
I
便
didn't
利で
equip
す。
Oh, you didn't equip it? Wow. Okay.
it. I think it's fine.
この章で
Know that shortly. There's an item called Leafy Fan, which is going to equip that.
全部の敵
It's like a
が
water pistol.
Yeah,
Kaze
water pistol, but
ni
for wind and for
yoai desu.
monsters. And this is useful
それは
because this area's netherworld effect is wind resistance goes down by 50%.
魔界エフェクトなんだけどなんです。
Right. If I would had it, it would have been
その
a lot very effective in stage. But I'm gonna get it.
左上に
We really don't need it for this stage.
見える風属性マイナス 50%。
Alright, so at this point we're going to get to where Killia unlocks his overload, and it's a very
そして、
cool overload.
これでウサリアがマオギを手に入っ
This is
て
where we fight Bloods again. It's a lot tougher than before. So we're gonna do our
Brothers
sacrifice
no
step. Now we're gonna do our stacking
also
step
send,
and our step. Blood is
拳
survives the boss, and then we're gonna go
で
武器を
use his newly earned skill, Vidya Holy Water, to just
変化し
destroy
ないの
Bloodless.
か
And right there
あ
you see Usalia
剣で十分
hit
だっ
Bloodless
た
and kill them.
まあ前に拳
Tag
でブラデ
teaming
ス
the bosses
を
with Killia and Usalia is very
Oh.
useful to clean up anything that survives the overload. Alright, so we are coming up to the shortest
倒
episode
し
in
ま
this
した
run.
な
It is no more than
倒
3
しました
minutes, if you can believe
そ
that.
れは
Casually,
ブラデ
this
ス
might be
が
one of the longer
拳
stages,
に
but
弱
this
いで
speedrun, this
す
is
か
one of
ら
the shortest. Okay, so this is one of the instances where Killia is actually faster to use than Usalia.
クラスによって
In this stage, squad attack is
実質
everything, so we can actually skip the stacking.
属性のことが違うので
So we just go right to sacrifice and then slaughter.
そ
I
し
love
て
that animation, by the way, of just the Silver Slugger.
その
Alright,
属
so
性
right here
を
is just another use of the triple S strategy. So you sacrifice, and then you stack.
おるためで
Yeah, this Netherworld effect is really annoying because it'll randomly, or it'll target your characters and you have to move around in order to attack. So the nice thing about this strategy is we don't actually have to move around very much because that takes 2
Alright,
turns.
very
and we wipe them
important
out.
stage coming up.
そし
We're
て
gonna be
この
looking at
マップ
full
は
So you know what sound
クリーニー
trees
マッ
make,
プ
so we're going to hear a lot of it in a bit. So
Gonna
I
ask
want
for some audience
Uh,
participation at this part. We're gonna
思い
count
ま
it
すよ
down,
その
and when we say
No
go, we want
dude
everybody in the audience to yell,
ってこ
"No,
と
dude!"
Alright, go ahead.
3, 2, 1, go.
Thank you.
あ
Alright, so right here, I'm gonna split up my sacrifices because there are wrestlers here and I don't want Usalia to get lifted, so I just use my
ー
sacrifice
そしてこのマップに
as well as being
犠
sacrificed
牲を
to force revenge mode and not let
あ
Usalia
ウサレから離れてそれはウサレを
Goodbye.
あ
Do we have time for one very quick donation?
Sure.
We have $100 from Mr. Cav208, which says, oh, can you guess? No!
を
Dude.
投げてないためですその
Dude. Actually, that's wrong. I should have
レスラーが
That's my bad.
いるので
Alright, so got
Ah,
our
Usalia
sacrifices,
が
and then we just stack and
投げ
slaughter.
たら
Okay, so the boss
あ
survived
マ
because I don't
マ
have
ウギ
the
も
plan. They're
他
very
の
close to
使えない
winning,
ん
by the
だ
way. So we just clean up the rest. Okay, so at this point, we're going to need to upgrade Usalia's weapon because we need some extra attack power
そして
to face to kill one of the upcoming bosses.
最後の
in
2
turn.
つの
Gonna buy this Lamia's coil for her quick bit and then just
章になってしまいましたこれは
so let's see here. We're gonna be facing some enemy base panels again. However, the sacrifice strategy is gonna allow us to get through.
最後の決戦になり
So
ま
right there,
す
sacrifice strategy.
まあ2章なんだけ
Sacrifice,
ど
and then you stack the buffs.
その
You stack the buffs and then slaughter everything, just like that.
Their enemies like on the complete
そ
opposite
の
end of the
隣
map
に
there, so
に
that,
い
that,
た
that
敵
mission
な
was
ん
one
だ
of the
けどそれ
longest
は
ones in my casual playthrough.
厄介な
Wiping it out in about
クラス
40
です
seconds is really,
その
really darn quick.
防御が
So
高
there's a
い
boss in this
クラ
stage,
ス
and
で
I want to kill this boss in one turn.
前にやっ
So
た
we're gonna
の
use the
は
triple S strategy as normal, and then we're going to have these celestial hosts throw Usalia to the other end of the map to reach the boss, and then we should be able to
特別
one-shot him with Berserk
の
Stream, and that's the end of that. So that's why we
特
need
別
to
で
buy the better weapon, because we would not be able to one-shot
特殊の攻
kill this boss
撃
in one turn if we
する
had a weaker weapon.
必要だったんですがそ
And
の
this is
マ
just
ップ
another use
で
of the
必要
triple
な
S strategy. So if you want to leave a few more donations, be my guest.
Certainly.
通常プレイでこの
$2,500 from
マップは
Games World Player.
厄介です そのボスは、
Longtime viewer, big fan. Thanks for the many funny and entertaining streams. It shows that people can change something together in the world. Greetings from Germany.
敵を
Alright,
復活でき
you can
ま
do a
す。
few more. That's just the
全部死んだ敵を復活、一回
$25
復活でき
from
て、
Overlord Knives. I've been a
もの
long
す
time
ご
fan of
い
this guy since I was
量
12.
の
It's
ゾン
awesome
ビ
to finally see
が
the game being demolished so
い
quickly.
るので
Show them how real demons
厄
do it,
介で
dude.
すが、
Alright, so
ウ
we
サ
got
リアの
another
強い
for
魔
this,
王
and this
が
is one of the few instances
あるので、
is actually
問題は
faster
な
than
かった。
Nostalgia because we're going to get to see
そしてこのマップに
and that, as mentioned before, allows him to act 3 times in
あ
one turn. So
強い
we're gonna
敵
use the
ばっかりな
overload
の
right
で、
now, and then we're going to make sure he has a good weapon,
キリアで
and we're going to
あ
use
決
squad
め
attack,
ま
which
す。
will
その
wipe
スクワッ
out
ドタッ
everything
ク
but the boss,
で、
and then we're just
そ
going
し
to
て
hit him a couple times with a big
Hang
holy
on.
water, and that's the end of that.
剣で変えて、
So just like that,
ブ
we
ラ
are
ド
on
ス
the
を
last episode of the
最初
stream.
攻撃しま
You
す。
see these little preview sections there in between each chapter. We unfortunately don't get to watch them, but those are honestly some of the most amusing parts of the game. I would say this series is one of the few RPG series that has an element of humor. And those are probably some of the best sections. So it's honestly just worth playing these games for the humor value in a lot of it, because it's just these are just such goofy games.
Do we have a moment for a quick note?
Sure.
So we are just a little more than $2,000 shy of that NISA incentive. And how much
Okay.
time do you think we have left in the
There's
run?
like 5 minutes.
敵が遠いので、
5 minutes.
We can do it.
4人の
No. Well, I could postpone it a little bit.
を
Yeah, we do have the
5 to 10
上げる
minutes.
必
yeah,
要
we do have the
です。
a DLC incentive as well. We could do
あ、
before.
生き残った。
Right.
Yeah, so we got a little bit more time than that.
Okay, so
Kilian
we did
ni
survive. Sometimes that can
Tanomemas.
happen. We probably just got a bad damage roll because we were using Cristo, but as you can see, Kilia just cleans up these enemies that survive, so that's not too big of a deal.
バランス
Right
が
here,
悪
I'm
かっ
going to
たみ
set
た
up
い
my
だ。
sacrifices in a line so I can avoid seeing this really long skill animation from these horseman enemies called 13 Knights. And just like that's one of the examples where proper routing
これはその
avoid things like skill animation. So there's a lot
3人を並んで
doing the routing of this
する
one.
ためは
I'm guessing they survived
犠
because
牲
I
を
don't
一
have
発
a wind element weapon equipped. But that's
死んでしまうからで
they
す。
get demolished anyways.
ちょっとだけで
In this
も
chapter, he would have the leafy fan removed anyway, because there are enemies here resistant, and he wants to wipe out enemies. It's a very big stage. There's also these really annoying enemies that are up super high on elevation, so it's nice to have a ability like Usalia's Overload, because that actually will hit targets regardless of elevation. And done.
Okay, so this stage we are going to face the antagonist of the game, Void Dark, and he's a little more complicated than the other stages because we have to do a little bit of setup first before we can defeat him easily. So I'm going to make this stack of units, throw them towards where Void Dark is, and then I'm going to pick up this horseman
So
unit
ste-
behind Void Dark and toss him to the side. And the reason we need to do that is because
このマップ
in the
に
next turn, the horseman is going to magic change with the nearest unit, and we don't want him to magic change with
Void
Dark
Dark
because that
に
doing so will offer him
マジチェンジを
50% resistance
す
to
る
spell attacks, and we
を
really
しな
don't
い
want that because
ため
he's
で
got a lot of HP.
その
So we
敵
just have to
を
sit through this,
投げ
these skill
て
animations, and then our sacrifices
そ
are
の
done. So we just do the slaughter step, the stacking the slaughtering, and then you hit the remaining unit with a squad attack.
このターン
Going
で
to go hit void,
あ
hit like that.
そうしなかったらこのターンで
finish him off.
終わってないですが
Giant rainbow Dragon Ball Z laser beam.
All right, so that's the end of that void dark. So
There's
his
that-
evil energy does remain.
これは最後
We
で
have to
す
fight it off.
最後の
In this level, there are 4 boss. There's
これは
4 bits, and each bit It has a minus 25%
そのビットを
damage reduction to the boss. So we have to
倒すしかない。
before we can
ラスボスを
Yeah, the bits are those crystal
ダメー
enemies
ジを
where
耐えるため
you can't damage the boss as long as
に
all four
全部のビットを
you
倒す
eliminate them.
必要です。
Alright, so we're gonna use the overload to weaken the bits a little bit, and then we're gonna Braveheart
サリア
Sophia,
のマウギでも
and then I'm gonna go use a squad attack on the bits. And then
足りない
on
け
my
ど
turn, the boss will move closer,
キリアのスクワットアタ
overload,
ッ
and
クも
I'll
含めて
just use macrocosm
そのビットを
boss
倒せます。
3
そ
times.
して
We
boss
can't
size time is coming up.
3回攻撃の
So
キ
that's
リアでラスボスを倒せます。
there's this little cutscene here that I want to show.
その最強の技、マクロコズム。
Okay, so he's gonna Falcon Punch next turn. So
まあ、
people wanna do it?
Sure, why not?
All right. And now.
Falcon punch.
And that's the end of the boss. The evil energy has been dissipated. The world is saved.
全部の解説はできなかったけど、
So now we're gonna enter the post game. So interestingly enough, with the post game, we actually. I'll show it in a bit. We actually unlock all this stuff when we enter the post game, so you can see there's a lot more to do. And these features, as fast as the speedrun was with the
donation
strategy, it kind of falls off the
incentive
post
no,
game. There's actually a lot faster strats to use, if you can believe that. But
もう
unfortunately, we
ボー
don't
ナ
have
ス
time to
ス
show
ト
all
ー
of
リ
the post game, so we're just
に
gonna do the DLC
何
scenario.
が
So which DLC scenario are we doing? Mr.
方は
Announcer.
知りませんが、
What's the
What's the
So
DLC?
no-
DLC scenario?
Oh, the DLC? We've just closed
Ah,
that, and
bonus ka-
by just about the same margin, it's going to be Laharl from
Sure.
Disgaea 1.
Okay, so we're going to get Laharl. So he has a girl form, so we're going to get girl Laharl, and then we're going to get regular Laharl. Don't ask why there's two
Laharl
Laharls. That's
みたい
just,
だ。
It's something that happens in Disgaea D2. Makes a lot more sense in context.
all right. So we're just going to do the DLC scenario to get the main characters of Disgaea 1. So this scenario is simple. It's mostly utilizing the triple S strategy again.
As amusing as it would be to just throw one prinny and cause a giant domino effect, this is a little bit more efficient.
And there's his special skill.
そのプリニを犠牲して
I really love the sound effect combined.
リベンジを手に入って、
So you wipe out the
サリア
prisoners
の
with
マウギ
the slaughter steps.
で全体攻撃で
Just clean up everything with
キリアで3回行動
it's like Lahal
Stay.
survived, but that's the end of him.
普通に
And then
倒し
in
ま
the
す。
next stage, we're gonna fight Flan, who's another Disgaea 1 character. And we're just gonna use the same strategy, which is the sacrifice strategy. So we don't really need Killia this time because the overload of Lusalia will just destroy everything. So that's her special skill.
As you can see, this game really
そ
takes
の
itself
ディス
seriously.
ガヤ1のキャラ私ラハルと
Okay, so we
あ
just need to stack my buffs.
フロント
and then
エトナ
swap everything. And that's the end of that stage.
です。
And then the last stage, we're gonna fight 2 units mainly. So we're gonna fight Flan in her transformed state. If you wanna know
こ
what
の
the
ボーナ
DLC
スが何マ
then
ップ
you
は
should play this
わから
game
ないけど
2 for the PS3.
Really, the kind of nice thing about the series is while they do reference each other, you can basically play almost any game in any order. So, if you're looking for a place to start, usually Disgaea 1 or 5 would be my personal suggestion. It's just honestly a really fun series to just mess around with, I think.
And we also fight Laharl's sister, Cicely, who's a very tanky unit. So we got our revenge mode. For some reason, the revenge meter gain is very low on this stage. So once we get revenge mode, we're gonna squad attack, and then we're gonna use Killer's Overload to defeat the rest of the enemies
大したか。
with the Killer's
あ、
free
大丈
actions,
夫だ
and
っ
at
た。
the end of this guy 1 DLC.
All right.
So did we meet the Misa incentive?
Unfortunately, we did not. We still
キリア
raised
の
$3,025 for it, though.
まあ、
Okay,
大喜
it
利
was worth a shot. So sorry, NEP fans, no NEP this GDQ, but maybe next time. I guess you guys didn't want it hard enough.
とがめました。
It's all good. Thanks
So,
so much for
um,
your donations.
There is one last thing I need to do before we close this run. So we did all that in an hour 20, so 80 minutes, and we cleared like over 110 stages. So this is quite a speed run.
Would you like to know the final time?
1:16:31.
Yeah, my PB is 1 minute and 10 seconds.
もしもし。
1 hour 10
ド
minutes.
ネーションでっていうのは、
Sorry, 70
そうですね。
minutes is
デ
my
ィスガイ1から4までのメインキャラクターの中から選んで、
Somewhere around the 119
なんか追加でシナリオをやるっていう話になってたんですけど、
Oh,
今やってたのか、それにちょっと該当するのかどうかが私が判断できないので、
actually just got it a few days ago before I left for the queue. It's just
追加シナリオっていうのはど
Well,
ど
this
こま
one
で
is
が。
not very RNG heavy.
あ、
RNG
これまでです。
あ、じゃあ、
allows me to lose
その
time.
3
Just that particular run. RNG just happened to
3マ
line
ッ
up
プ
perfectly.
しかなかっ
So that was a
た。
nice send off before.
そのディスガイア1の、
came here to do
のシナリオは短い。
I would like to
追加シナリオは短いで
close
す。
some words, and then we're
先ほどの
gonna do
3
our
マッ
last
プで
little bit, and then-、
ドネーションの分が
So
完了した
I just
という
want
こ
to say,
とですかね。
そ
This
う。
is an excellent speed game
なるほ
to
ど。
try out if you want to learn the fundamentals of running an RPG.
多
Because all
分、
you need to do is know how to menu
他
fast
に
and know the
追
game
加が
mechanics
な
and
けれ
how
ば、
to use them. So if you want to learn how to speed run this game, you have
ディスガイ
a
の方
Discord
は、
server for this guy's speed running. It's not a very active community right now, but hopefully
終わりになるのかな？
will join. And you can find this guy speedrun Discord
Uh.
server by going to speedrun.com, going to this guy 5
そう。
page, and I do have the
最後の
link there. And I also have a lot of
GreenZSaber が
resources available
最後
to
の
learn the speed run for this game. I've got
Oh.
written guides with pictures for them, and if you want to help improve those
言
guides, then
葉かな
join up and
し
let
て
me know
ま
if
す。
there's anything I can fix.
そし
Because it
て
is、tough
いや、
to
これは最後です。
route a single game, let alone a game as complex as this by yourself. Because I've been pretty much the sole pioneer of this game.
すみません。最初に間に合わなかった
いえいえいえいえ
で、す。
解説していただいて本当に助かりました。
So
いやもう本当途中まで私も全然わからなかったんで、キャラクターの名前とか、技で何やってるのかとか、解説いただいて本当に
give a round of applause
ありがとうござい
to
ま
our
す。
because they are really the true
早く
heroes
来
of this
た
one.
と思ったですが、スケジュールがめっち
そう
ゃ
なんですよ。
And just like this game, still I did all
30分近く早くなってるので、
the attempts of this game.
もう本
ス
当に
ケジュールがすごく短縮してしまいました。
Without everybody behind me, so give yourselves a round of applause. You all deserve it.
なんかリスナーの方が質問があるそうなんですけれども、たい焼きっていう回復アイテムあるじゃないですか。
あ
たい焼きっていうのは海外の方でも普通にたい焼きでこう伝わるんですかね。私はわからないんですけど。
海外にたい焼きはないんです。
なるほど。そうすると、
食べたことあるですが、日本にいたときに美味しかったです。
なるほど。じゃあ、あれですかね。これ、多分海外版だと思うんですけど、たい焼きっていうのはなんだかわからない感じなんですかね、やっぱり。
まあ、アニメによく出てくるので、
なるほど。
多分理解できますが、
そこかーっていう感じですね。
そうか。
Unfortunately, ball.
つまり、あれですね、たい焼きもそろそろ辞書に載ってもおかしくないかと。
show off what the hardest boss in the game is and what he's capable of.
あ
So
Yeah, he can basically, as soon as you enter exit the base panel, do immediately 20 billion damage. 2 billion damage.
バルの
Carnage Ball, the toughest boss in the game. You can see
も
all
う
those
バス
stats,
を
how high those numbers are.
見せ
So
ま
we're
す
gonna
の
try
か
to
な。
fight him and see what happens.
なんか、すごい数字をさっき言ってましたけどね。
ああ、
I
こ
like
れ
the
も
pretty
ド
names.
ネーションのため。まあ、私。
お
カーネージバール。
All right, everybody, just scream it out.
倒しますのか。ああ。いや。
All right, so got a game over. We got a trophy, and there's the platinum trophy. So that's all the trophies in the game. If you actually want to see this boss get beaten in real time or get all the trophies in real time from scratch, then I guess you can check out my Twitch channel. And that's all I have to say about this guy
倒
5.
しません。
Hope you enjoyed this run, and
ちょっとそ
have a
の
good
ノ
rest
ー
of
ドゥ
the
ード
marathon, everybody. Thanks for having me.
どうしたかった。あとね、そのたい焼きを買ったことなんですが、それは狩りを、そのチャットで狩りをするためです。それはたい焼きと、シンボルって何？まあ、50の、100の50か100、まあいい。そのシンボルの拳で、狩りをつけるためで、クリティカル確率を上げて、100の拳で、狩りで、マップで、クリティカル率が100になります。100% になります。そして、たい焼きが、ターンがどんどん続けるため、どんどん続けて回復します。
Once again, shoutouts to GreenZSaber for his run of Disgaea
前にや
5
ったこ
Vengeance.
と
Coming up just shortly
で
will be
す。
Pikmin
それ
3
は
featuring 360 Chrism. In the meantime,
前の
take a
稼
moment
ぎ
to
マ
thank
ップ
one of our
で
sponsors.
回復ためです。
Power Up Audio is an indie sound studio from Vancouver, Canada. They've worked on games such as Celeste
次
and
は
Crypt of the
何でしょ
Necromancer.
う？
Their entire team is
次
here
は
at SGDQ. Jeff, Joe, Kevin,
Wii U
Cole,
で
and they are
ピクミン
donating their
3で
time
す。
on sound 24/7.
う
So
ん。
big thanks to them.
では、ディスガイア3の、解説をですね、していただきました、ピンクパジャマさんでよろしいですかね。
スカイファイブ。
あ、そうですね、ディスガイア5。どうも、解説の方ありがとうございました。
Hollow Knight and more are available on fangamer.com/GDQ. I have $50 from Mona and Jason. Hello.
では、長丁場のディスガイア3、ディスガイア5が、一旦終わりまして、次、ピクミン3、また、1時間を超える、ゲームとなってますので、皆さん、今のうちに休憩と、していただけると、沸騰して、ピクミンもいけるかと思いますがですね、残念ながらピクミン3の方なんですけど、解説の方がですね、まだいないということで、解説の席がですね、まだ若干余裕があるということで、どなたかこう、やっていただけると、いい感じに収まるかもしれない。というわけで、ちょっと、ほんの少しだけ、休憩していきますので、すぐ戻りますので、 皆さんの方も少し、休憩の方しておくと思います。では、少し失礼いたします。
We have a bonus game as an incentive for the marathon. Mega Man X2 is almost $10,000 of the way to $25,000 that we're looking for to have that game run. If you're looking for other donation incentives, well, one that's particularly interesting to me would be from Skyward Sword. Gymnast will be doing a blindfolded fight with Demise. If we hit $15,000 towards that incentive, we are currently at $3,433. I have $25 from Rabbit Biscuit 173. Hey dudes! The original Disgaea is the reason I'm such a huge fan of tactical RPGs, and I loved watching Disgaea 5 get destroyed for a good cause. Also, Girl Laharl, best Laharl. As a reminder, there are some prizes available for certain donation thresholds throughout this time block. For $20, you are entered to win an NES Classic. For $5, you are entered to win some Fire Emblem Perlers, including characters such as Lyn. For $15, you could win Fire Emblem Echoes Shadows of Valencia, a very nice-looking special edition. $10 would enter you to win the Enter the Gungeon bundle, and for $25, you can get the NIS America limited edition bundle. And of course, for a cumulative total of $150 throughout the entire marathon, you're entered to win an 8th generation console bundle plus a gaming PC.
戻りました。ピクミン3の方なんですが、軒並みゲームの方がですね、早く、進んでおりましてですね、何分に始まるのかな、だいたい30分以上早まってるそうなので、今時間の方確認しますが、あれ、ピクミン開始予定が、ディスガイアはほとんど時間の差なく終わってるようなので、ピクミンはそろそろ始まる形ですかね。はい、ただ、全体としては、やはり最初に提示された時間よりも30分早くなってますので、これから先のゲームをお楽しみの方、楽しみにされている方はですね、ぜひぜひ予定表を確認の上ですね、ライブで逃さないようにしてみてください。さて、今回の